If you're interested in writing, whether you're looking to write a novel or a biography, you have to start somewhere. Finding that starting point can often be the most challenging part of writing, but luckily I have a handful of helpful tips for getting started. The first thing I must address is the social aspect of becoming an author. Listen closely, as this may be the most important advice I wish I had followed when starting my writing journey. Do not tell anyone about your project. I know this can be hard, but it's important to have freedom when working on your first work, and telling people that you've started writing can easily lead to you feeling pressured, which can easily lead to burnout and an unsatisfactory story. Remember that writing should be about expression, at least when you're first starting out. Now that that's out of the way, we can look at writing itself. It can be immeasurably hard to look at a blank page and just start writing. And my biggest tip is to just start writing, simply. It doesn't matter if your first couple of projects suck, they still are steps in the right direction. You see, I always say that I started writing in the September of 2024, but this isn't entirely true, as there were countless projects that I began, all of which were valuable to me in their own right, but they simply were just steps along the way. Nothing to be shared, nothing that was even really that good, but something that really put me into a new perspective writing. Now, what should you do if you can't just get started? Writer's block often plagues your first couple of works, but luckily there's a few ways to get started relatively easily. Firstly, if you treat your works as an assignment rather than a personal project, I've found I work much better, and a few of my short stories that I had created for assignments for school are my best works yet. But if you need even more prompting than just a perspective change, then maybe try asking a writing community or even an AI chatbot for writing prompts. Now, I would be careful with this, as AI is quite the sensitive thing in the writing space right now, but it's still something to get the ball rolling. You can simply let your mind wander on the subjects too. Don't stay too glued down to the prompt, and allow yourself to drift to different ideas. Now, these are just exercises. They don't all need to be good or even really coherent. They simply have to be attempts, and that will kickstart your writer's mindset. Another thing you can try and do is try writing on unrelated topics and styles to your end goal. This can help you expand your understanding of writing as a whole instead of just your preferred niche. A good way to do this is by short stories, and I know putting in all that work for a short story that is unrelated to your book may seem counterproductive, but it is quite the opposite and can help you hone your skills to come back to your work with a more refined toolkit. A common misconception about writing is that it's learned in a classroom or by some kind of college degree, but that couldn't be further from the truth. Yes, creative writing courses can help you, but by no means are they required, and most of the greatest authors haven't taken conventional creative writing classes. So, if you're the type of person who likes to learn by practicing and not being taught, writing may suit you better, as it is a mostly self-taught skill with some exceptions. So, hopefully now you have the skills to start your dream project with refined skills and more confidence, but you'll quickly find that no matter how hard you try to avoid it, you'll end up with burnout in some capacity. Now, this is very hard to deal with, but when working on a large project for too long, burnout is inevitable. But I feel like it's too stigmatized on the internet and in our mainstream media. It should be looked at as a part of the creative process, not an interruption from it. But at this point, you may be wondering to yourself, how do I deal with burnout? I couldn't give you a direct answer to this, no matter how hard I tried, because as far as I'm aware, there is no miracle cure to burnout, but we can shift our perspective on it, to look at it more as an opportunity to let our creation sit for a little bit. Now, this can easily lead to you abandoning the project entirely, so I would advise you looking out for that. But otherwise, you can simply take this time off for a bit. And then, when you're ready, come back to the project and look at it with a fresh pair of eyes and refine the work you've already done. But we're getting ahead of ourselves, so let's reel it back into the blank page. Why don't we begin writing? I'll give you a short prompt, and why don't you try to just write maybe a paragraph or two. And the prompt goes as follows. A young boy in modern times gets stuck in the forest behind his house. A pretty simple prompt, but one that could go in hundreds of directions. Directions only you can define, and stories only you can write. And that's one of the things that makes writing such an experience and such a shift in mindset, is that these stories, while they can be thought up along similar lines by similar people, your story will always be unique to you. No matter how many other people have similar ideas, you will always be unique in this writing space. So, I do hope you found this video insightful, but before you go, I want to leave you with one more tip. As an author, the world may seem against you. And this applies for many other fields of work too, like YouTube and art forms as a general umbrella term. But for writing, uninterested publishers and the rising threat of AI can be very discouraging, now more than ever. So it is important to create and share art in any form to keep these mediums from falling to AI and the few established authors and artists. But this has been the video, and I hope you found it helpful. And if you did, please consider subscribing. And if this is the beginning of your writing journey, we do now have a Discord where you can share your works when you're ready. So, this has been Wonder and Wisdom, and I'll see you guys down in the comment section.